Guys, welcome to tonight's stream. My name is Amir, and as those of you already know who are subscribers to the channel, I'm working on Inktober stuff. Currently I'm streaming to Twitch and to YouTube, which I'm hoping that this is actually uploading to Twitch properly. I've got no idea, I'm kind of flying in the dark with this, but we're gonna see what happens. So anyway, let me jump into it. I am late. I'm late with kind of, you know, Inktober and just kind of the drawings I'm trying to put out and things of that nature, and so I'm still on day 4. Technically, I mean, if we're looking at it, it's basically done. Like, I've got Exotic captured on this image right here, inked it in. You know, I kind of feel pretty content with the line work on this, but what I don't feel content with is the lack of color work. The Flying Frog, welcome to the stream. Happy to have you back on. Good to see you. But with this, you know, I'm thinking that for tonight's stream, I'm probably going to hop in here and slap some color on this for a bit. So I'm going to see how that kind of turns out as I'm kind of working through this new setup. Hopefully YouTube doesn't like flag me. By the way, my channel got temporarily deactivated. It was really wild. YouTube was saying, I guess the algorithm gods were saying that I was doing something that, what was it? Like, I was doing misleading videos. Videos were misleading with their content. So anyway, after getting in touch with the like human team on YouTube, they're like, hey, my bad, this is not accurate at all. So that was a big scare. So yeah, here's to trying to appease the algorithm gods and going forward with Inktober. So sit back, try to just relax and watch the content that I'm going to make as soon as I figure out how I'm going to make it right here. The Flying Frog, how have you been? Okay, so I've got that layer where I want it to be. I need to figure out what color I want this to be. So one fun fact is that all of my UI features are kind of on the other screen for some reason. I don't know why. I'm gonna try to see if I could like get those where they need to be here. You guys can't see what I'm looking at, but that's okay. I'm picking colors as we speak. That's what's happening. I think what I want to do is kind of play around with this vibrant red and see what I can do with this in areas where I can apply it. So first and foremost, what I'm going to do is duplicate this layer. Again, I've got a few things kind of popping up in areas off screen. I'm going to see what I can do to kind of just drop that on top like this, and then work with the color work here. Not like that, but like this. Once I delete that. Yeah, no, I hear you, Flying Frog. I'm about to be really busy too in a bit, so it's not just you. Hang in there, keep on pushing through it. What have you been busy with, if you don't mind me asking? I'm gonna switch this brush preset. I want this to actually move this over here for a second. Oh wait, no, it's not gonna capture that. Oh no. Let me try something else. Maybe if I do this. And... oh, that's funky. Guys, hang in there. I'm working out some technical kinks first. Got that like this. I'm just gonna keep this full screen. Yeah, sorry guys, I'm not gonna be able to show the paint brushes and everything else on screen in real time, but just imagine that they're there. I'm working on putting on the color on this with those. I feel like this red is a decent choice just to get my ideas down first and foremost, so I'm gonna keep that and just kind of keep it moving here. I'm selecting my brush size. This is something else that's not being captured in stream, so that's what's going on in the background before I start erasing a few things here. I'm gonna zoom in. I hear you, Flying Frog. Where are you in school with? Or for? I mean, I'm not sure if you're like in university studies or, you know, what's going on there, but I might be able to relate if you talk about some of those details. I was in architecture for a minute when I was in my university, and that program was nuts in a half. Devon, yo, welcome to the stream, son. Yeah, I went back and, you know, completely revised it. But yeah, they're meant to have wings. And this Argajune definitely does. The original sketch, which I wish I could show on stream, I kind of have this set up to be a little bit more lightweight today, but it was a lot more wolf-like in design. And I didn't really want that to be, you know, the initial image that I had for this creature was something that was a bit more of a, like, repto-mammal, if that makes sense. And I think that for the wolf design, I'm going to kind of reintroduce that at a later time. Probably for the water wolves in the story. Now, I don't know why this isn't moving. Oh, I see why. It's because there's some serious lag going on. Oof. What can I do about that? So my shortcuts just stopped working on Photoshop. That is horrifying. So this is space and right click. That's not supposed to be the case. That's all sorts of janked up. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Alright guys, this is not expected. Oh man, look at that lag. Oof. I'm not even clicking anything right now. I miss my old computer. Alright, so we're just going to try that again. I'm going to see if this is actually going to respond. It is. It's a bit slow. Okay, and I can move the canvas again. That's definitely a good sign. So yeah, back to normalcy, hopefully. So I'm going to go back and just kind of like tweak up these areas that got erased by whatever lag was going on earlier. And right now it seems to be a bit speedy, which is good. So yeah, we're gonna hope it stays that way. The flying frog, that is totally fine. I know what you mean. Just have to say I'm happy to have you on, and yeah. I'll do my best to make good art tonight. I've got a vision in mind, so I'm just trying to realize it and kind of carve it out right now. Oh, thanks, Flying Frog. Yeah, I appreciate that. I hope you have a good sleep, too. I'm probably gonna sleep, I don't know, it's 10 p.m. EST here. So I've got some more time. I'm going to stay awake for a little bit more. There's a festival I'm going to go to tomorrow, and before I do that, I'm going to try to get this concept art, this creature design, put out onto paper. Not sure if anybody can relate, but, you know, there are these moments sometimes where I feel like I've got this idea in my head, and if I don't put it out on paper, I'm just going to lose, like, some of the details with it, some of the kind of, like, quality and information to it. So this is that moment right now where I'm just kind of literally capturing what I have in my imagination and putting it down here. And so when I'm done getting this inner work kind of etched out, I'm going to start working on the, you know, outer line work as well too. And that's where it gets really fun, because you can start doing this technique that's kind of called reductive, you know, painting, or that's kind of what I like to call it. It's when you put on color onto a piece of art like this into Photoshop, and if you've got your outlines really defined well enough, you can really just kind of use the lasso tool and cut out shapes to where your colors just kind of snap into what you've made. And I'll show you what that looks like in a second. I think the first thing I want to do before that, though, is just figure out what the primary color palette is going to be for this thing. Oh, ooh, okay, I just looked at the chat. Now I get it. Devon, good night, man. And Flying Frog, yeah, welcome. We are still live and still on. So, one thing I'm trying to do with this, one thing that's really important in this design, is this presence of these eye patterns that you see on the wings. And these are important because for this creature, when it gets, you know, aroused in this very kind of, you know, threatened type of way, it will do a threat display. And these eye patterns come in handy, similar to that of like a moth's wings or things of that nature. But this is kind of done in a bit more of a erratic sort of display pattern, which I think really complements this kind of 0 to 60 kind of aggressive personality that this monster is supposed to have. And just another fun fact, I have yet to release my next video, but this is one of the many creatures that you would find within the realm of Moana and Aquas, this water-based magic region I've been talking about here and there for a while. So we'll see that kind of up close and in person in due time. What color do I want for the fur? I always imagined maybe like a sky blue? Choices, choices, choices. Reddish, bluish. Well, the good news is that I can always experiment and find out. So check this out. We're gonna go ahead, just kind of use this as a fill color. And as I'm looking at it now, that blue is not the mood. Not for what I'm thinking about. It needs to be something a bit flashier, something vibrant. Kind of want to see how yellow looks on this. Got like a Jolteon situation going on. And that yellow's a bit too yellow. I think that I'm getting closer to the ballpark. I'm going to bring this down to a little bit more of a tan. A little bit less saturated, but still enough to where it's loud. I think that something like this is kind of alright, at least for now. Yeah, Flying Frog, I am happy to hear it. You know, it's funny that you say that. I started off as a traditional artist. I still consider myself to be a traditional artist at heart. But yeah, all of my initial artwork started with photorealism, graphite, and paper. I even did things like sculpture and worked with clay for many years. At the school that I went to. And once I was able to kind of like handle those techniques better, I moved over into digital. And here I am today. And as I'm working on just kind of applying this color to this creature's body, I'm thinking that a dual tone combination of color, specifically like this kind of palish yellow mustard tan thing in combination with maybe something that's a bit more kind of burnt orange, might be interesting to explore. And that's something I'll play around with in a second. But not before doing one thing first. This almost looks like a demented sort of Pikachu type of thing, but it's gonna look really different in a second. Alright, time for the magic wand tool. Let's see what I could do with this. Quick selection. This is where the fun part happens. Nope, that's not what I want. Try that again. Lasso, nope. Where's my guy? It's all the way at the base. There we go. And... uh-oh. It's a little too sensitive. Let's try that again. Okay, so I'm going to see what I can do with one press of a button here. Yep, that's what I wanted. I'll try this again. I'm working on the interior this time. I'm just going to use my trackpad for this because that's going to make it just a bit more controlled versus the pressure sensitivity. And watch this, guys. You can see how we've got this overlap over here with the color. Well, when you press delete on the other layer, that just goes away, quick and simple. So I'm going to switch back and get back into making stuff. Yeah, Flying Frog, that's... I agree, this definitely looks like a Jolteon mixed with a Pikachu with this sort of color palette right now. I kind of do want to see if I can change that up a bit. Like, I'm not sold on the yellow. It's not bad, but I'm just not fully convinced just yet. I do want to do a bit more experimentation with, you know, the color choice here and the tonality. So I'll know better once I, yeah, just kind of put a few more things on. And so what I'm doing right now is you can even kind of start to imagine like what's going on here. These are the kind of shadowy parts, the dual tone that I was talking about. And what I'll do is kind of clean up some of these areas here. Just bring that up a little bit like that. This in the background is definitely going to mimic more of that same thing. And so what I'm doing is that I've got this on a separate layer. I'm doing that just in case I decide to, yeah, like make some big change on this. So that way, the layer beneath with that yellow is still kept intact. Do it again right here for the paw. And then again right there. And there's a good chance that this color is going to change, but I'm okay doing whatever's going on over here just to get the idea down. Yeah, it looks very electric Pokemon right now. I'm not gonna lie to you. This is the drawback with this color palette. Uh-oh, I think we've got a case of the lag again. Oh no. No, 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 no. Yeah, that's not what I want. Okay, so guys, we are going to wait for a second. I'm gonna see if this actually kind of snaps back into reality. What's going on? Well, I will say this. If Asus ever decides to sponsor my channel, they should definitely give me a stronger laptop. And I'm not using an Asus right now, just FYI. This is my old Microsoft Surface Pro. And I'm using a UG drawing tablet right now to kind of do my drawings on. But the processing power for my Microsoft Surface Book, I think, goes back to like, what, 2017-ish? So yeah, she's an oldie, and I think she's just trying to like push through right now. Like, I'm trying to zoom out right now, guys, for those of you who are watching. It's not zooming out. Like, dude, what? The lag is real. Okay, so I'm gonna see what I can do here. Maybe... Yeah, I'm just gonna wait. Photoshop's not being responsive. So, in the meantime, while I am waiting, I guess I can find something else to talk about. I'm trying to think. Do I have any stories that I can tell in the meantime? I feel like I should try to find some university stories for the flying frog right now. So yeah, she's trying her best right now. That's for sure. Man, let me try something else again. Still no responsiveness. Yeah, this hasn't happened before. Let me check out Task Manager. Memory looks okay. Yeah, like it's not, you know, the worst thing in the world for the memory. Yeah, okay. Should be running. Like, I don't know what's up. Let me just try this. I'm gonna minimize that for a second. It's gonna look really funky. Maximize this again. Hopefully that, like, woke something up. I don't think it... Real life lore. So yeah, I'm trying to think out of the many stories I could talk about. Yeah, so back when I was in university, I was a resident assistant. And we had a few different kind of like meet and greet activities that were going on, specifically around like, you know, resident assistants kind of participating in like games and competitions, challenges, blah 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 with each other. And so one challenge was dodgeball, and something that a lot of people don't know about me is that when it comes to dodgeball, I happen to be incredibly competitive. And so, you know, during this dodgeball game, I get the ball, and, you know, I'm just kind of like, I'm beaming it across a couple of people, right? Like, you know, skim across the head, across the shoulder, whatever. And there was a girl that I had this crush on, and she was on the other team. And, you know, I wasn't I wasn't like not trying to hit her, but at the same time I kind of was like holding back a bit. I was like, you know what, like I'm gonna save the best for last. Like I'm not gonna snipe you out with this ball. And so my team, we're dropping like flies on my side. It's me and it's one other person, and his name was Josh, and he is also super competitive. 1 second, let me see. There's something going on with my computer. Whoa. Okay, so closing that window, maybe that had something to do with it. I'm gonna pick back on the story in a second. Okay, so still nothing. Okay, back to real life lore. So yeah, like me and Josh, we were the only two people left in this game. And at this point, like, we're kind of, like, fueling ourselves a bit, right? Like, you know, shirts are coming off. Like, I took off my shirt, you know, Josh took off his, and we're like, yeah, let's go, yeah, let's go. Got about, like, 5 opponents on the other side. And I had this, like, devious tactic where I wouldn't make eye contact with who I was trying to get out, right? But I would have this curveball to where I just, like, wind back my arm all the way, and I just, pow, just beam it, you know, and just, like, hitting people like square between the eyes with this ball. And I wasn't intentionally trying to go for people's faces per se, right? But I wind back this arm and I'm looking at somebody, and I just fly it, just, you know, swing this arm, and this dodgeball just missiles towards this girl. Her name was Mariana. I beamed her in the face, and you just hear clunk, you know, you just hear like the reverberation of this ball. And this girl fell to the concrete. Like, we were playing in a parking garage. Like, she fell, like, on her back. And I didn't realize this, okay? Like, I was in the moment. Josh and I were just like, yeah, let's go, yeah, oh, you know, like, who's the best? And people are like, oh my god, look at what happened to Mariana. And, you know, like, I'm looking, and I see this girl who I actively was trying to avoid hitting, and she is just, like, knocked out cold, just, like, I'm talking about, like, Family Guy, Peter Griffin, just, like, you know, on the floor, basically. I felt so bad. But yeah, that was just like a regular day. Yeah, we were being yeah, we were doing some ignorant things. Yeah, we were doing all of that. But hey, a good memory, you know, good times. That was definitely something that that I wouldn't forget from my college day memories. Guys, I'm gonna try something else here. Yeah, the flying frog. I'm gonna get right back to that. I'm gonna see what I can do just to maybe refresh this. I'm gonna try to turn off this screen for a second and turn it back on. Okay, so we've got that. And things are selectable, and yet they are not responsive on here. There's this. Okay. Alright, so I've got an idea, guys. What I'm going to do is this. I'm literally going to shut down Photoshop, and I'm going to reopen it. So hopefully, hopefully that does something. So, bear with me for a second. This shouldn't take too long. I'm going to see what we can do going on here. Saving that window. shutting this down. Okay, and should have this shut down in 3, 2, 1, and or not. Okay, let's try that again. Save. Almost there. Okay. And in 3, 2, 1. Oh, look at that lag. Just lag city. Okay, Photoshop is shut down, excuse me. And it's about to get rebooted in just one moment. Okay, loading again. So we've got a black screen right now. That will change in just a moment. I think. Alright, so minimizing that. Yeah, so the flying frog, it was definitely painful for somebody. It was painful for me, like, internally. I think seeing that sight was definitely just kind of like... it's like a sobering, you know, just painful realization of like, I can't believe I'm a monster. I did this to somebody. Yeah, good time for us, but not for the receiving end, unfortunately. I'll do better, I promise. I mean, I'll be more responsible going forward. And so just a heads up, guys, like right now Photoshop is loading. I know that you guys don't see anything on the screen right now. It's a black screen, but in theory, that should change in just a few more seconds. So things are buffering, things are loading, and it seems as though... Let's see what's happening. Drum roll. We've got an Adobe Photoshop that's slowly loading in the background. So we've got that, we've got that, we've got our Jolteon-esque Argajune, and that's about to get fixed right now. So I'm going to try something. It could very well be that this image size might be a little too large for the stream and for Photoshop to handle at the same time on this specific computer. So what I'm going to do is bring this down a couple of notches, and I'm just going to bring this to half the size. Something a bit like this. It's 2 megabytes right now versus 10. Optimize that to about, no, not 150, but we'll do 100 and see what happens. It's loading, it's making some changes, it's thinking about things. And you guys don't see the window right now that I'm looking at. Restream is just capturing this drawing that I've got right here of my creature design for the Inktober prompt that I'm working on. And if you rub your... Wait. Oh. We've got action. And we've got a working Photoshop UI once more. Right, we have to thank the RAM deities for that. The CPU demigods. So, there we go. So let's talk about the elephant in the room here. You know, this Jolteon-esque yellow. I don't think I want that. I think I want something else here. And what I'm going to do is make this an easy job for myself by simply going to color overlay. Excuse me. And what we're about to see are a few different options for what colors may or may not make sense for this. So, again, unfortunately, not everything on my screen is being captured. But what I am doing is playing around with the different color options that we have here. And at one point, I was thinking about like a very bright reddish color. was also thinking about a blue at some point as well too, and I think that the blue is actually kind of interesting. I'm gonna see what I can do with this kind of almost violet blue. Maybe I'll make that a little bit more of a blue, something a bit like this perhaps, and see what I can pull out of that. Devante, hey, welcome. Glad to have you back on the stream. I'm just talking about the color choice here. I don't want this to look like a, you know, flying Jolteon Pikachu or something. So I'm playing around with a few different things besides just yellow. And I think that I'm getting to a few interesting options here. The blue is interesting. Maybe a little too vibrant for what I want. Because here's the thing, guys. What you don't know is that in this realm, in this region, there are a couple of creatures, a couple of monsters in particular, that kind of rock this blue color palette that we're looking at here. And while I like it a lot, even, you know, for this design, it's actually not bad. I don't want to make it too redundant at the same time, too. And so, I'm going to see what I can get away with this, but I'll probably change that palette again, so don't be surprised. We're not going to get too married with this color. But I will save it. And so I'm just going to do this reductive technique I've been talking about before, just kind of going through and working on the inner line work, getting rid of the things that I don't need color-wise, and then making sure that there's enough distinction. Even coming down on these areas, right, where we've got overlays and overlaps, and that is all getting tweaked appropriately, just like that. And zoom out again. Alright. Something else that's important. This contour here is going to be a little different. It's going to come down like so, curve up like that. I like what's going on with the blue here. What I'm going to do is just kind of come back, tweak that a little bit more, so that we're not losing that detail that I had before. We're keeping it. Just that aspect of that shadow curving down this way. Just tweaking up some of the gaps over here too. And that's not bad. Just hitting some of these other areas as well too while I see them. Got some overlays here. And that's no problemo when you've got the right type of eraser tool to handle the job. I'm just using the standard Photoshop eraser, which is really all I need. Hitting that corner, coming down again. Yep, so I'm pretty okay with that. Same thing for these sides over here. And, you know, if I'm being honest, I could probably go in here and use I can use the magic wand tool and probably speed this up a lot. So I'm going to try that right now. Take my handy dandy magic wand tool, select the areas where I don't need that blue, do the same thing for this. And with the click of a button, wrong button, there we go. Try to hit up these other areas too. So we've got that. Bring the cursor back down. So right now I'm just kind of scaling up the size that I need for this. For this fin that we see, that's definitely going to get hit with its own respective kind of treatment for highlights. And we're going to see that in a bit. Kind of following this pattern that we see over here right now, but I'm going to come back and revisit that in a second, so just remember that. It's not going to go anywhere. And so what I'm doing with this is I'm placing, or I'm going to place those highlights on those regions because I'm really trying to communicate the texture and the three-dimensionality of that fin for the creature. And you'll see what this does in a second once I do. If I switch this to a brighter color, let's just say like the brightest of our brights, we're going to stick with white. I'm going to come back and place this here, place something else there, and then something else here too. I'm going to come back and just kind of erase the areas that I don't need. Like right now, this is a little too much. That's an easy fix when I come back and just kind of, you know, handle it like so. And then I'm just removing everything from the ear feather areas too. Same for this, like it's really close to what I need, but just a little. It's a little much, now it's not. And same for that. So we've got this kind of nice sheen that we see on the fin. And so what I can do again, and this is why when I'm inking, it's really important for me to just kind of treat my line work with care. I can just select all of this, and I can come back and delete the areas once more that I don't need, just like that. Same thing for the highlight area. And that's such a satisfying feeling, I just have to say. Like, that's... that feels pretty good. So I'm coming back, cleaning up inner work. The Flying Frog, thank you. I am glad you are enjoying it. I definitely am. We've got that, we've got this. I'm still not sold on the color. What's it gonna be? I'm even thinking about maybe something a little bit more of like an orange or a red. Maybe a red-orange? We're gonna see how that looks in a little bit. Like, I think that blue certainly has a presence. It can have a presence for this, you know, body shape and kind of, you know, like color plan I'm trying to work with here. But the fur, what I'll do is this. I'm gonna group these guys over here, keep those in the archive, and I'm gonna start with a new kind of treatment here. I'm just gonna see what I can pull out of this kind of magic hat. See what goes on. Alright, so again, what you guys don't see is that I'm looking at different colors overlaid on top of this because there's a window that's not being shown. So that's way too dark, but that, ooh. Okay, now we're moving in a direction that's making sense. So for the base color, something almost like that. I'm liking that burnt orange. You know, that's a really strange color for a creature, typically. I'm looking for this kind of exotic sort of feel for this particular variant. And with that, right, like we're going to change that blue into something that is a bit more of a appropriate complementary color. This would be perfect for something that's like, you know, a dual tone sort of nighttime scene, or I guess, you know, twilight scene with that kind of cool blue on that really hot orange. But because this is just the concept art, I'm going to keep this a little bit more simple for now. And we're going to have something a bit more traditional with that color choice. Right there, but still needs to be a bit brighter. That's not bad. I'm going to go back and probably pull something else out with, yeah, with the kind of tonality here. So we've got that orange. I'm going to make that just a little bit redder, just a little bit. It's too red. Bringing that up. Just a little less saturated. I think that's alright. I think that's alright for now. Yeah, the flying frog, I'm glad that you think so. I feel like this is more in line with what I was thinking about. Yeah. Some small details here, just getting some of those corners. Same for that tail. Okay, okay. So, we've got this hot orange. Now it's time for something else that's really important. And with this specific design, something that's really kind of integral for me to it is this notion of high contrast. When you see this thing on the battlefield or in the wilds, it's really meant to jump out at you. It's really meant to kind of cause alarm. And with that, I kind of had this vision of really high contrast colors. In the same way how you would see something, say for instance, that's like very venomous in the Amazon rainforest. You have these very bright and vibrant color patterns, which really kind of say in nature, you know, like, hey, keep the fuck away from me, basically, unless you're gonna be in for a wild ride. And that's oftentimes for, you know, like venomous creatures and things of that nature. For this, Argajoon aren't exactly venomous. In fact, they're not venomous at all. But they do know how to use a lot of magic. So, if you can imagine this creature, like, casting down a lightning bolt to try to, I don't know, attack you because you entered into its territory. Or shooting fireballs at you, or things of that nature. That's very in line with its brand. So, you know, again, I want this color palette to really say, hey, I'm king of the jungle, I'm king of the forest, when you look at it. And that's how we get these really stark blues, kind of almost as if like coming out of nowhere, basically, for this design. And I'm still just filling this in. And right now, again, the fact that this is going outside of the contour bounds is okay, because of the way how things are set up with this drawing. Line work is thick enough to where the magic wand tool is going to recognize what's a contour and what's not when you're selecting the just drawing layer for this. And that is muy bueno. And so there's a lot more, just color-wise, I would say, that needs to kind of get considered for this design, or at least applied onto it. Like the tip of the ears, for example. That's something else. I think that those are going to be a blue. I'm thinking that a lot of the kind of lingering accents on this creature's body design are going to end in this kind of blue that we see here potentially. And we're going from hot to cold with this body plan. Or more specifically with the colors for the body plan, that's what I really should say. And that is, in every sense of the imagination, intentional. I kind of want to see what these wings look like with their appropriate colors put on them. I'm almost curious to see what a blue might look like somewhere in this area. I'm just going to try it out for a second. We've got that red over there, but what does a blue look like? I might come back to that. I might see what I can pull out of that. In the meantime, let me just kind of like keep this here as a placeholder. I'm not sold on the specific color, this blue, but for now, I can keep that there and come back and change it. What I will do is fix that highlight over there to where this white isn't spilling over onto this. Just a quick clean up around there. Easy peasy. And I talked about this loud, vibrant design for this creature. So I kind of want to see what I can get these eye markings to look like if I were to do something that's a very high contrast color on here. And by eye markings, I'm talking about eye spots. So more of a yellow potentially for that. Still just playing with what that could look like. I'm thinking that specifically for this first wing, I want something that's going to give a very high contrast look. So whatever color I choose, whether it's this blue or something that's darker, I want it to really stand in opposition with this yellow that I'm using over here. And the same thing kind of goes for these other wings over here. These kind of wing blades, so to speak. I want things to really kind of jump out, as you know, and so with that, this white over here, I don't know if that's the move. I think it might need to be a different color. Similar to that blue pattern, but maybe something else. I don't want to jump into too many different color choices here. But it could be something to where this is a... what if this were like more of a reflective type of blue? To where we have a few different kind of... picked the wrong thing. A few different kind of sheens going on within the kind of blue of the wings. So we're going to see what we can do here. Thanks to Flying Frog, yeah. I'm glad you think so. And again, I'm not sure if this is going to be the exact like color palette that I land on, but the thing that I do know is that when it comes to the overall like contrast mapping, this is the direction that I'm moving in. Just having something that is going to be high contrast with wings is a must, and there are certain colors that work better than others with each other to really communicate that. Serious Russ. Danke. I do appreciate it. I wish I spoke Deutsch, but I do not. But your words mean the world to me. So everything that you've said, danke, dankeschön. It's getting there, it's getting there. We have progress. So remember when I was talking about how this blue might not be what I really want? I'm thinking about something that might be more of a very dark bluish green. I'm curious. But I'm going to experiment with that too after this. So I'm using my cheat code technique here, just selecting contours and deleting this, and look at that, you know, this is a very clean takeaway. Yes, thank you. I wish I could explain better what I'm about to say, but I was in Berlin back in 2014, Potsdamer Platz, actually, and really it's a beautiful city. It's the only place in Deutschland I've seen, but I had an amazing time. Let's see what we can do with I'm going to try that color swap that I was talking about. But after I do something else first, I don't think I want the outer parts to be red anymore. I think what I'll do is swap this with more of a consistent color tone, something that's probably going to be more in the blue range. Similar to what we had before with this hue that we're looking at here. And so if I just do this, change to the paintbrush tool here, I'm just going to fill this in, quick and simple. And for this one, I think maybe I can do something a little bit darker, just a little bit, to insinuate that we have this kind of gradation that I'm talking about. So let's see how this works. You know, I actually don't have many people on Twitch because I don't stream on Twitch a lot. I think the last time I checked it was 4 people, and I'm hoping that I can start to get more in due time. So I'll try to make a somewhat regular schedule with my streaming. And we'll see how many people want to watch, and hopefully that will bring some more people into the community, and I could meet some more people as I make art like this. Yeah, this isn't bad. I think that this contrast is still in the realm of possibility that I want for this. I kind of want to see... I like that, but I'm not sure if I'm sold on this pattern. I'm going to just commit all the way and see how it goes before changing anything. Yeah, serious Russ. I understand you. Really. So, where do you live in Germany? Which part of Germany do you live in? Okay, I'm fixing these ears. Having that sharp finish is another must for this design because of that aggressive stance that's taking both in, you know, the form and then also just the overall lore that this creature follows. Yeah, like it just needs to be supported with these visual language cues, as you can see here. And something I want to do, something I was talking about earlier, was this idea of introducing perhaps another kind of form of tonality on this creature. I need to figure out just how high contrast I want that to be. I'll do it after I put on detail onto the fin. For that, I'm going to zoom out. I'm going to experiment with more color again. We've got this blue for the wings. Whatever color I decide to use for the fin, I want to have some sort of correlation, maybe some similarity with what's going on here as well too. So I'm gonna see what blue looks like. And I'll see what maybe another color looks like too, but I think that might be too much potentially. Or I could be wrong. So I'm going to see. How does blue look? I like the introduction of a new color onto this. I'm going to play with that. Just putting that on like so. I'm going to speed this up once more. I'm just going to literally go into like my magic wand tool. And in like 3 steps, clean all of that up. Just like this. 1, 2, 3. And I should be able to do the same for the other features too. 1 second, I need to stretch. Okay. That's better. Okay, perfect. So I have the layer that I want to target and fixing that right there too. Bapard Rhineland. False. Interesting. It sounds amazing. Das ist wunderbar. It seems like it's a really nice location to go to. So maybe one day. Okay. I'm gonna try to fix this wing again. Selecting this and deleting. Okay, let's try this again. There we go. Let me see, I've got something in my pockets. Okay, let me take that out. That is better. Everything about comfort when you're sitting in a seat for like a good I don't know, it's been maybe at least an hour. It is, makes a long way, or goes a long way, excuse me, when you're trying to draw detailed things like this. Okay, so we've got that kind of cleaned up. Now, I do need to do something about these wings as well, too. I can make them darker so that I have some higher contrast on this, because right now it's a little too, yeah, like I need that just to be a little bit darker. So I'm selecting this once more, and now I'm going to, or I thought I was going to trade the color. Don't know why I didn't. It's very strange. Let's try that again. Okay, that's there. I've got what I need selected. Try this, and then there we go. Okay, that's better. Yeah. I think this is getting closer to a place of completion. Not quite completion, but it's getting closer to, you know, a more robust design. Let's get some detail in on those ears. If I make that, I'll figure it out in a little bit. I'll come back in a second. Alright, Serious Russ, thank you for coming. Yeah, until the next time. So I'm looking for, yep, there we go. I'm looking for these. So we're gonna zoom in, we're gonna clean this up, get that a lot bigger. Clean these up over here. There's a chance that I might even make these more of a lime green. That might be interesting. Okay, so we're just getting that hit very nicely. Same for this. Just cleaning up the outskirts of that. I think that that's a pretty good spot. Try this one more time. Got that. Just gonna clean this up a little bit here. It doesn't need to be like absolutely perfect because this is a organic design, but close would be preferred. What color do I want this secondary guy to be? I'm thinking let's see what this looks like if we borrow the orange again. A little too similar. A little too similar. I think if I were to introduce one more color into this, I've been talking about lime green for a while. I do want to see what a green would look like. And that might be too much. I don't want this to be overwhelmingly colorful. I think that's a little too much. And that's okay. Because guess what? We've got other colors that are pre-existing here, like red. There's always a place for that here. As a matter of fact, there might be a place for that here too. Yeah, I think that feels appropriate. I like that red accent, bringing it back once more. And you'll see that, you know, currently this has got a situation where we've got our yellow overlapping onto it. It's not really the most clean. And, well, that's a simple fix. This yellows. Going back and cleaning this up. Let's see if I can move this. There we go. So this is probably just the most time-intensive part. For some of these areas where the contours don't fully connect, the ink contours I mean, I can't use the magic wand tool. So I'm manually going in here and cleaning things up, which I don't mind. It's for the level of cleanup work that needs to be done, it's not really that much. But also it's very satisfying, I think, just personally, to kind of go back and kind of see things, just, yeah, fill up space the way how they're supposed to with my work. And you can just kind of see this doing its thing right here. And that's all just kind of repeating the same cadence here, just filling that in.
Ain't nobody asking, I'll be basking in my liberty, cause slavery is real. Doesn't mean the shackles gotta be revealed. Fighting with my pen, that's the closest thing to steal, and it's what they wanna steal. There's value in the word, gotta figure out the real. We're juggling and wrestling thoughts in my mind. The influence was heavy, all the faults even mine. They were still persuading like I'm needing a dime, that my people ain't be dying over gold in the mines. It's funny, right? I'm still numb to the trauma. I couldn't tell if my joy was out of love or what would hold me when I needed me a hug. That's the realest. Yeah, it's the closest thing to feeling. Yeah, it's the only thing feeling. Trying to get me closer to the
getting this back in view.
Open up some doors while these words get to show you all my flaws. It's poetry and pain, blessing in the chain, pictures I could paint. Yeah, it's poetry and pain, blessings in the chain, pictures I could paint. Yeah, it's poetry and pain, blessing in the chain, pictures I could paint. Yeah, it's poetry and pain, blessings in the chain, pictures I could paint. Now I've been calling, been starting, been falling, we go again. Timing so precious, a blessing, don't mess it up all again. Money, it come and it go and it come and it go again. Loving is true, it don't go here to stay, it go again.
So, something else that I haven't talked about. We've got these flat colors on this design. And Johan, the artist 21, welcome to the stream. I am making concept art for my world building project, and more specifically, this is a creature here, an exotic creature called an Argajoon. And this is also doubling as my my ink drawing for Inktober. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Jake Parker's challenge that he does every year for artists, but yeah, this is it's a lot of things. It's concept art. Think of like bestiary stuff for a fantasy novel. But yeah, all this stuff I kind of talk about on like my about details and all of that on my Twitch channel. So yeah, feel free to pull up a seat and enjoy. How's your night going? So one thing I was talking about was kind of going back and kind of tweaking these flat colors here. Having these reds and these oranges and all of the kind of flat tones that we see, this serves as a very good placeholder ultimately to kind of signify like what type of color goes where. That doesn't necessarily equate to like the shadows or the tonality affiliated with that color. So because there's lighting in this design, not everything is going to be this flat kind of tone of red that we see here. Some are going to be a bit lighter, some are going to be darker. We'll see that in action in a little bit once I clean up some of the outlying work in these kind of negative space areas. Nice, nice. Yeah, I hope it's something good, man. Yeah, the idea of food is actually making me a bit hungry right now. Alright, so we've got this dedicated section. Now, one thing that I really want to do with this, like I talked about before, is kind of introduce this notion of three-dimensionality and lighting with other layers being present too, right? So what you don't see are the layers panels within this window, but these are going to go a long way in a second, because when I start adding shade to this, things are going to look a bit different. As you can see, all of a sudden things really just pop out, like almost right out of the blue, with just that simple addition. That's exactly what I want right there. That level of detail that we see, where that's just kind of like popping off of the page, that's what I'm going for. And so what I'm going to do is continue filling in these areas where, the shadow is just kind of meant to be a little bit more prevalent and just overall present in this design. And you'll kind of see how that translates. And I don't even know if that shadow needs to be right there as I'm looking at it. It's probably a little too much, which can just be remedied really quickly. I'm just gonna go ahead and erase that a bit. But part of the reason why I'm introducing this here is to visually communicate that there's something different here in terms of just like objects and layers and things of that nature, which this communicates exactly that. When you're taking a look at this from a, as I like to call, visual language perspective, you've got your contours and all of those that are just kind of becoming a lot more distinguished through having that darkness and that light kind of introduced right there. So I'm just applying the same thing for this leg over here, cleaning that up. And again, I'm gonna just like speed this up again. Check this out. I'm gonna go through, do the same thing that I've been doing with the Magic Wand tool, and This time I'm going to make sure that I get the kind of inner nooks and crannies as well too. And I'm going to try to get really close to getting rid of just all the excess kind of shadow that we don't need. Just like that. I'm going to try something else here too. I'm going to take that. Some shadow definitely can go into this area. Not a lot, but just enough to where it's made clear that this too is its own autonomous region. Stretch break. Okay. So yeah, I'm gonna see what I can do again with the lasso tool. If I take this, try select some of the, see, yeah, that's not gonna work. That might work, but the original plan was to try to select some of the areas that yeah, just like aren't leveraging the shadow, or that don't need to leverage the shadow. And this will help out a bit, but I'll still need to go through and, manually clean up some of these areas here, which we're about to see in a second. So I'm going to use my eraser tool, come on through and do my thing there. This up. Definitely here. And these feathers around the ears, those are going to use a nice makeover in a second. Right now the contrast isn't where it needs to be. It's not as high as it needs to be. And so to remedy that, there are a couple of things that I can play around with, you know, different colors or different kind of tones for how much I'm trying to highlight them. But what I'm interested in is more of the color opportunity here. So I'm going to see, out of this color palette that I've kind of made for this creature so far, what other things could I play around with that would still really complement the kind of ears and presentation of this really well. And I think I've got something in mind. I'm thinking about maybe, well, we'll see in a second. I'll show you. Before I do that, let me clean this up. There we go. We need the ears. Almost there, almost there. Let's see. This is why it's important to name your layers. I just named them a second ago, so this way I won't lose them again. So, let's see how this looks with a yellow. Yeah. I'm gonna be honest, I'm not necessarily against that. And just the same thing for this. I'm just cleaning it up. Got some areas where this is overlapping and it's looking a little messy when you put a high contrast color on it like this. That's definitely not something that I want going into the final production of this. Same thing here. And then zooming out again. That's much more of the wild look that I want this to give. So I'm happy with that. I need to see what I can do with eyes and ears and all of that fun stuff. Tail might be a different color. That's something I'll get to in a little bit. Yeah, thanks the Flying Frog. I was just thinking the same. That's exactly what I was going for. I think this is almost in a good spot for the tail, but like I said, that color is probably going to change a bit. Just cleaning this up. Yeah, that feels pretty okay. Should probably save my work. All right. And
Ladies and gentlemen,
just cleaning up some of those areas where we don't need the shadow. And I know that there are some areas where it's still a little messy in there. I'm going to come back and clean that up later on. In the meantime, I'm going to keep on working on trying to map out the overall body plan. So, something else about the Argajune. It's those ears, yeah, like that's supposed to really be like a high alert sort of, visual when you're looking at it, right? Something else I need to consider, like what is the color tonality of this face? Is it just orange like everything else? Or is it something a little different? I think that crest in the front, what if that's a different color? I'm gonna see what that looks like. We've got the fin, we've got the body detail. What does that look like if we bring the red back? I want this to be, you know, shocking, but still balanced when you're looking at that color pattern that's being, you know, reproduced over here. And so I think that by bringing the red somewhere up here, maybe just on the tips, I kind of want to see what it looks like if it's like all the way down too. I think all the way down is too much on the tips. Seem okay. And I know that this last one's still all the way down too. It's not bad. What I will do is I'm going to bring this one all the way down. And because of that, this one too. We've got this kind of like crest that these feathers form on its head. So now it's just all about cleaning that up. Same for that side. These over here. And now we've got a nice, clean, contained set of feathers on the head here. Could be cleaner, but for what it's worth, that's really all I need. And the same thing for this one, just kind of, you know, cleaning that up, applying the same type of care. Whoa. Just through the canvas, like all the way into deep space. I actually don't want that angle to meet the other ones in that same parallel fashion. I'm going to keep this not parallel to what's going on down here on purpose. The reason why is just to create some more visual diversity with you know, the kind of visual here. And to really kind of maximize that, the opposite right there. Something else important too that I almost forgot. I want to show that that is something that is its own autonomous three-dimensional thing. So I'm just going to add just a little bit of shadow right here as the light would permit. And there definitely needs to be shadow on this side because this is in the background over here, a little bit more in the distance. Probably something over here too, seeing as that's also somewhere on the same plane. You'll notice that I skipped the yellow and the ear feathers over there. I'm thinking that the Argajoon is going to be a creature that when it's, you know, infuriated or if it's angered, then when it flares up in this way, similar to how a cat will like raise its fur if it feels threatened, these yellow kind of feather extensions will actually start to glow with a sort of bioluminescence, so to speak. And that's what we're looking at over here. Okay, so we've got that. I was talking about something for this feather over here. Tail, I mean. That might have another color placed on top of it. An accent. I think a blue feels like it's balancing this out. I kind of want to see just how crazy this is going to look. Yeah, that does feel like it's balancing it out, but I do want that color just to be a little bit lighter because that's actually going to be in the light. So what I will do is come back and place a highlight on this. In the meantime, I'm content with that kind of, just conclusion at the end of the tail there. And so what I can do to just kind of like clean that up with all of those kind of complex corners and whatnot is literally just this. And another satisfying conclusion. And what I was talking about with highlights here is, if I go around this way, put on a white on top of that. I'm using the same layer, the same opacity as everything else. I think currently this is at like a 45%. Not that those details are super intriguing, but we're gonna get something a little bit like this. And the same thing again, just selecting, not that, but selecting this, and then deleting the excess in the highlights, just like that. And I think that because it's got that kind of like bluish tip to it over there, I want to see what I can do if I continue that in other parts of the body plan too. So, for instance, thinking about the paws, I'm gonna see how that looks. Zoom out. That's interesting. I don't know about the blue. I like it, it's balanced, but it's a little too cold, I think, for what I'm looking for. But what I will do is keep, I'll keep the placement for this. I can always swap out the color with something else. So I think what I'm going to try to experiment with is taking this, and you guys can't see the colors that I'm swapping it out with right now, but I'm loading overlay yellow. Yellow is interesting, but not quite what I think I want. Let's see how red looks. Ooh. I think I like the red. Definitely gives a very imposing, almost like bloodied sort of look. Of course, you know, like it's not blood, but I kind of like that. It's something that still fits this complementary look of everything else on its body, and it does it in a way that sends a bit of alarm, I would say, down your spine if you were kind of catching this at first glance, walking out of a bush in front of you. I'm gonna stick with the red. And I'm gonna delete the negative space. Yeah, I think that's a pretty good frame to work with. And this is the feet color, I think. Yep. Say feet accent. And delete. Yeah, that's okay. That's pretty good. I'm gonna come back and put on the like claw detail later, but for now, it's actually pretty good. Patterns are another thing for this, but I'll think about that after. Eye color. Honestly, I think for the eyes, I'm just thinking about. I don't know what color actually. A yellow? Maybe a yellow. That's going to be our placeholder for now. I'm going to zoom in on this. Feels right. I'm sure you guys are all thinking about this, but yeah, that orange over there. I'm gonna clean that up too. Right now I'm just cleaning up all of the excess orange in the meantime. And this will work wonders once it's actually taken care of. It's getting there. So there's this idea that I have for patterns for this design. I don't know if I really need them, but I'm wondering. Something simple would be nice, just to create a little bit of I would say disturbance between the head area and that front torso. I'm almost thinking about, I just want to see something. That's what I'm looking for. That nice kind of trail that runs down the body. That is exactly what I'm looking for. Yeah, that simple feature goes a long way, but that was the itch I couldn't scratch, and I'm quite content now. The only thing that's left for this design is really just completing etching out the orange space over here, as well as marking up the wing area, which is great because this is almost done at that point. Hmm, 'cause I think I might have to do a little bit more. I think I might have to do a little bit more. I think I might have to do a little bit more. I think I might have to do a little bit more. I think I might have to do a little bit more. I think I might have to do a little bit more. I think I might have to do a little bit more. I think I might have to do a little bit more. I think I might have to do a little bit more. I think I might have to do a little bit more. I think I might have to do a little bit more. I think I might have to do a little bit more. I think I might have to do a little bit more. I think I might have to do a little bit more. I think I might have to do a little bit more. I think I might have to do a little bit more. I think I might have to do a little bit more. I think I might have to do a little bit more. I think I might have to do a little bit more. I think I might have to do a little bit more. I think I might have to do a little bit more. I think I might have to do a little bit more. I think I might have to do a little bit more. I think I might have to do a little bit more. I think I might have to do a little bit more. I think I almost at completion. So this is the final portion of this, working on getting the claws illustrated. Or not illustrated, but colored. It shouldn't take very long at all. Just a quick brush over for this. That's coming in very nicely. I don't know if I want the red. The more I look at the kind of final accent detail here. It's nice, but it's a little too much. So seeing it with the white, I'm gonna see what other options we've got with yellow. It's way too bright. Blue. Blue's not bad either. And then with nothing. I think nothing actually, yeah, that might be the move. No feet accents. Who would have thought? I do want to try one more thing before I really commit to nothing for that. like that a lot better. Yep. Flying Frog, thank you so much. I think it's almost done. Time for the cleanup time. Time for the... I don't know what I'm talking about. It's late. It is time to clean up the remaining areas. Okay, that's one. this is about 90% complete. I'm just working on the final revisions. Whew, okay. Just one last tweak. Group all of these together. I want to see something. Just make these outlines pop just a little bit more. Nope. I think it's linear burn, color burn. But unfortunately, let's see what I could do here.
Everybody in the groove.
Okay, I'm gonna adjust this. See how that looks. Brightness and contrast. Yeah. That's exactly what I want. Okay, guys, we have reached a verdict. Introducing the Argajune, as seen in my world building project, The World of Animus, and in its book, Kinix. So for everybody who's tuned in, who's kind of sat back and watched the stream, I just want to thank you again for tuning in. And yeah, until the next time, I will see you soon at Creative Animus, both on Twitch and YouTube. So, take care, have a good night, and cheers.